Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys watch random movies, all thanks to the almighty algorithm, and then talk about them. And with me today is the amazing, the incredible, the unflappable, the Jar Jar Binks to my Kit Fisto, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn. How you doing, Kyle?
Misa Record Podcast.
Yes, exactly.
I'm doing good. I watched movies again.
Yes, I watched movies again too, and this is one of our mini episodes in which we just talk about what we've been watching. So, Kyle, what you watching?
Well, the day after our last recording was Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So I dug into my Friday the 13th collection again.
Of course.
And I watched the original 1980 Friday the 13th. And it was good.
With Kevin Bacon and his tiny shorts.
Kevin Bacon and the arrow through the throat.
Oh, yeah.
And Jason's mother. Spoilers! Yeah, it's classic. Everyone knows that one. It's a fun one to pull out every once in a while, especially on a Friday the 13th. So, next I watched Jolt on Amazon Prime. This is a new movie from this year with Kate Beckinsale.
Is this like Crank?
It's
Crank 2, High Voltage?
It's almost like the opposite of Crank because apparently her character was like born with like some sort of like thing where she can't control her rage. So when people piss her off, she just attacks them. So she's finding like she's going through a whole life trying to find something that she can help stop the rage from happening. So anytime, so then someone comes up with this device that she wears at all times that has a little button on it. Anytime she starts feeling angry at some person, she pushes a little button and it just like kind of shocks her entire body.
Interesting.
Does
she turn into the Hulk?
No, but with this rage problem, she also like has like excessive strength too. So it's basically, watching Kate Beckinsale like kick ass. So for an hour and a half,
nice.
she has like a date with a nerdy accountant played by Jai Courtney.
Nice.
Captain Boomerang as a
rest in peace
as a nerdy
rest in peace, Captain Boomerang. I was so sad when he died.
Right. But then he gets killed, and then even though she just met him, she's trying to find out who killed him, and then you get to see her beat people up, and it's a pretty fun movie. And that's on Amazon Prime, so go check it out. Then on Pluto TV, I watched the 1982 film The King of Comedy. I don't know what you're talking about. The Joker didn't take any influence from this movie.
Yeah.
Like straight lifted this movie. This was really good. I liked this quite a bit. Robert De Niro plays a stand-up comedian wannabe. The only thing is like I kind of found some of his jokes weren't great. Like they weren't like, oh, I could be famous from this. I thought it was like just some funny jokes where it's like, I feel like in Joker, I don't know if I'm remembering wrong, but weren't his jokes like just really terrible?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. But anyway, there's a famous late night talk show host that he wants to get on the show just to show his comedian chops, and that guy's played by Jerry Lewis.
Yep.
And so he sneaks his way into the limo, and then he's like, okay, fine, I'll let you on my show, but he was just lying. So then De Niro gets all mad, and he's got like mental problems, and there's a lot of scenes where it cuts to like what he's imagining, but they don't. Scorsese didn't put anything in there indicating that he was going to that. So there were some times where I was like watching a scene going, oh, what? Oh, where did we just go? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is just in his head. Like you don't know. It just kind of cuts to it.
Come on, Uncle Marty.
But
I appreciate the technique.
Yeah, I actually did. I didn't know if I liked it while I was watching it, but the more I thought about the movie, I was like, I really did like this film. It was good. So he ends up kidnapping Jerry Lewis and yada yada yada. But
and then does he get rescued by Dean Martin?
Yes.
The ultimate comeback.
So anyway, yeah, I would recommend that. That's on Pluto TV. And I don't know about other things, but like I noticed on the Apple TV, they finally put a search button on Pluto. So I was like, that's nice. Then on HBO Max, I watched the 1992 film Deep Cover. This one I had never seen before, and I'm kind of sad I've never seen this one before. I really dug it. This one was Lawrence Fishburne plays a cop, and his boss makes him go undercover as a drug dealer, and he ends up getting like deep into it, hence the name Deep Cover. But the drug dealer that he works with is played by none other than Jeff Goldblum.
Nice.
Jeff Goldblum playing a smarmy drug dealer. I mean, and Lawrence Fishburne playing an undercover cop. How can you go wrong with this movie?
Yeah, that's a great combo.
I really like this movie. It was really cool. And and it had questions about like, what good was he doing as a cop, and then as an undercover drug dealer, he's making shit tons of money. So like, it was a good one. And it's on HBO Max, and I recommend that one. Then getting into my Blu-rays again, 1986 Psycho 3. Continuing on my Norman Bates journey into
Is
madness.
It Psycho 3D?
We all go a little mad sometimes, and then sometimes again, and then maybe
sometimes again.
more. And then we keep going mad. This one, I think it takes place like a month or two after the second one, and he's running his hotel now, or motel or whatever, and a lot of things are going on this one. There's a girl shows up who looks like Marion Crane, and so like she's got the short hair, and her initials are even MC. He sees that on the suitcase, and she's like at the beginning of the movie, she's a nun who's about to kill herself, and then she leaves the convent and ends up there and whatever. And Norman Bates falls in love with her and stuff, and then Jeff Fahey comes in as like this just kind of wanderer who needs a job. He's a musician, wants to get out to California. And then there's a reporter coming in looking for the disappearance of the woman from the end of the last movie, and killings happen, and it's a Psycho movie. This one was directed by Anthony Perkins.
Nice.
I think it was his directorial debut. I really like the second Psycho, like legitimately like this one. This one was interesting. It's not a great movie, but it was interesting. And there's actually a lot of Perkins used a lot of interesting transitions between scenes that I kind of like.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. Anyway, then family movie night, we watched another new movie from this year, Vivo, on Netflix. And this is an animated film that I didn't even know existed. And it's got a bunch of music in it written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And so, that's always good. It's about a monkey's journey to Miami from
Does he
Cuba.
become a real boy?
No, he's got an owner in Cuba, and his love from a long time ago is doing her final show in Miami and invites him to go, but he dies right before they go. So then the monkey has to get a song that he wrote for her and get it to Miami, and adventure ensues, and Lin-Manuel Miranda music ensues. If you like his music, I would say check it out. I like his music. We've had this discussion before. I start to think that a lot of his music sounds kind of the same after so many movies, but it's stuff that I do like. So I'd recommend it if you enjoy his music. Then on Netflix, I watched 2002 film, The Pianist. I had never seen this one. I think this is one that Adrian Brody won an Oscar for.
Yeah, this one where he's like, he survives World War II or something.
Yeah, he's a pianist in Poland. I think it was in Poland. Him and his family surviving, and it follows him through the whole thing it goes from 1939 to 1944, and him surviving the whole ordeal. And this one is hard to watch. Like some of the stuff that they just blatantly show, they don't imply anything. They just show it, like getting shot in the face and like point blank because, hey, you asked a German a question. How dare you? Bam. It's, but it was really good, and he was really good in it. I can see why he was up for the Oscar. It just kind of shows the horrors of what they went through, and it's kind of movie you don't want to watch too often, but it was a good movie. It's like nearly 2.5 hours long, and I was into it the whole way. So
nice.
Then on Blu-ray, this is actually a special feature on a movie, but it was a full-length documentary called The Director and the Jedi from 2018. And this was in preparation for our next podcast on The Last Jedi. This was basically just behind the scenes footage on them filming The Last Jedi.
Nerd.
And I'm sure some of this stuff will get brought up on our Last Jedi podcast because, yeah, we're two white men on podcast talking about The Last Jedi on our next episode. So
the one thing that the world needs more of.
I think we should make it a really toxic episode because that's kind of the history of that movie.
Oh boy. I don't even want to talk about it half the
time. Anyway, moving on Amazon Prime, I watched a lot of films from this year, actually. I watched the movie Val, that documentary that Val Kilmer brought out. I just kind of, it's really interesting because he has always had a camera. And so he's got like, I guess, thousands of hours of footage since he was a kid of himself and then through his career. And so it kind of like talked about some of his bigger movies and, some behind the scenes stuff there. And I did not know that Val Kilmer had throat cancer that he survived, and like he can barely talk now because he's got a tube in his throat. And
yeah, it's pretty much a whisper at this point.
Yeah, so it's kind of sad to see that, but kind of talked about his career and how things are and how things were and everything. It was an interesting documentary, and I'm a fan of his work. So I mean, he's got a lot of iconic roles like Iceman and Doc Holliday and Batman. Hey, I know they went full goofball with Batman and Robin, but Batman Forever, I've got a soft spot for that one. I bought the soundtrack when it came out. I had a lot of fun watching that with Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey going over the top through the whole movie.
That is fun to watch.
So I enjoy watching that one. But yeah, I'm a fan of Val Kilmer, so that was kind of interesting to watch and see some of the stuff that he worked on from his perspective. It's kind of like Heath Ledger had that one documentary out too, that he always had a camera on him. So like there's a lot of footage of him just goofing around and stuff. And that's kind of cool to see people that do that, and then kind of get their personalized personality as opposed to all the movies, the things you see on the movie screen. But that's what I watched the last couple weeks.
Nice. I watched like 12 movies, so pretty solid. Let's get going. So I'm slowly continuing my way through the Criterion Channel neo-noir collection. So first one I watched was Blowout with John Travolta, directed by Brian De Palma. And I have seen the Italian movie that this was kind of based on, Blow Up, which is about a photographer. This one is about a sound man. We've talked about this one before. Obviously, great use of sound, but I'm starting to think maybe Brian De Palma has issues with women, because it seems like a lot of women die in this movie, and then like a lot of them are like sex workers and this and some of his other work. So like,
yeah,
Brian,
I've kind of noticed that too. I've started to become a fan of his, but I have also noticed that like the women he writes are, yeah, there are some issues with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the big reasons I haven't watched. I probably won't ever watch Dress to Kill, because that's a big yikes.
Next, what did you think of the ending of this one without spoiling? Did that one hit you?
It was solid. It was definitely solid and sad. And John
Travolta at the end.
And John Lithgow, how could you?
All right. Oh, the father from Harry and the Hendersons.
The bad guy from Santa Claus the movie.
Oh no.
Next I watched Cutter's Way, which is next in the neo-noir. This is interesting. It's about sort of a Cutter is this sort of Vietnam vet who has some PTSD in addition to having some sort of physical ailments as well, and played by John Hurd, and his buddy is played by Jeff, the Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges himself. So Cutter kind of slowly becomes obsessed with like this weird old murder case, and then sort of brings his friend into it. And of course, this is a neo-noir film. This is definitely going to age well, and it definitely doesn't have an effect on their relationship with their significant others or their relationship with each other. Everything turns out a-okay for these guys, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Next, I watched Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. This is sort of the last of their Meet the series, where they met the Universal monsters, and this one was okay. One of the last movies they ended up making together because their relationship was pretty bad. behind the scenes, from what I understand by this point. We did get to see the mummy. We did get to see some good gags. And overall, solid. If you like Abbott and Costello, that's a good one.
We've watched that several times with the kids.
Mm-hmm. I just like how the very end they turn the pyramid into like a nightclub.
Yes. Just, why not?
Exactly. That needs to be the ending of more horror movies, turn like the venue into a nightclub. Next, I watched Medea's Family Reunion as I further my way through the TPMCU. And this one, Medea's putting on a family reunion, and then she's also trying to she's also put in like the foster mother for a kid, for like a bad kid played by Keke Palmer, who that she doesn't want. And then eventually things come together as part of this family reunion, and everything goes okay with, of course, lots of shenanigans along the way.
Nice.
If you like Tyler Perry, it's more Madea, so you know. I'm continuing my way to the TPMCU, the Tyler Perry's Madea Cinematic Universe.
Well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Next, I watched Body Double, which is another Brian De Palma film. This was also included in the neo-noir set, and this is kind of Brian De Palma's like, what if Vertigo and Rear Window were the same movie, and it was sleazy.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some good parts to it. I think it's overall the performances are very well done.
This
And then,
is one of those where, yeah, I agree with you. This is one of those where he really wears the Alfred Hitchcock influence on his sleeve on this one. Just like,
I mean, if you're gonna rip someone off, rip off the best, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this one is also then like the weird like porn subplot, just like Brian, just make porn, Brian. It's okay. You can just make porn.
People did that in the 70s.
In the 80s,
in the
a
80s.
lot. You can just make porn. So just like, so yeah, I'm not sure I'll watch that one again anytime soon, because it is kind of gross, for sure. And next I watched Blood Simple in the neo-noir series. This is with the first film directed by the Coen brothers, starring Francis McDormand and M. Emmett Walsh being the most character actor-y thing he can be. So yeah, it is a solid neo-noir about a bartender who thinks his wife is cheating on him with another man, and then so he tries to plot to kill her. And of course, things go well. Everything goes perfectly fine in this plan. And
especially for a Coen brothers movie, right?
Yep.
They always go according to plan.
And this one, they've done a lot of comedies, of course, later, but this one is interesting because it's definitely almost kind of straight down the middle, played very straight. And shout out to the cinematography by Barry Sonnenfeld. So that's cool that they worked with each other very early on.
I have not yet seen this one. This is one of the few Coen brothers I have not seen.
Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, these Coen brother guys are pretty good at their jobs.
Right?
From the beginning.
They know what they're doing.
Next, I watched The Hit. This is a British movie, I think, with Terrence Stamp plays like a former mobster who ratted out all of his friends and then went into sort of like hiding for 10 years. And then he gets found out by these two gangsters played by John Hurt and Tim Roth. It's like, all right, fine, we're going to take you back to the UK. We're going to kill you. So it's almost this weird sort of road trip movie where they get into some sort of shenanigans, some not sort of shenanigans, while also trying to figure out like, all right, we're going to kill you. And then so it's just interesting, the relationship between the characters of, Tim Roth, and then Terrence Stamp was trying to get to him because he's the young guy, the inexperienced guy. Then John Hurt plays a pretty scary character. It's fun to see him play a villain. You don't see that very often. Next, I went back to the 1950s because I had this on the DVR called The Night Holds Terror. And this is a 1950s home invasion film based off of a real incident. And what was interesting is that the actors actually used the main couple's real names. And they actually paid the real couple to help promote this movie.
Nice.
So yeah, it was solid. A lot of great moments of suspense. Because about these, guys who pull over this man as he was home when, working at Edwards Air Force Base. So just a lot of like, man, how is he going to get out of this one? He has to talk to his wife. His wife has to stay by the phone. Otherwise, they think that they might kill him. Great suspense. Really solid film. And next, I saw Paw Patrol, the movie. Because I don't know why. Because I could have stuff to talk about it. Do your kids watch Paw Patrol, or are they a little old for it?
They did. I think my youngest daughter did, when she was smaller. Mm-hmm. She was into Paw Patrol a little bit. Not real big into it, but she did watch a little bit of it.
Okay, yeah. Well, Paw Patrol, they finally got their own movie, and this time, Ryder and his gang and his puppies are going to Adventure City instead of Adventure Bay, and they find out that they got to stop evil plots from the evil Mayor Humdinger, who was just fraudulently elected as the mayor of Adventure City, and they got to keep him from doing bad stuff like causing fireworks or like other bad, crazy things. Him and his kitten catastrophe crew, and he doesn't like dogs.
All right.
And
See
there's some,
now, my daughters may have seen Paw Patrol. I've never seen a single episode.
yeah. So there's like a new pup joins the gang. Her name is Liberty because she's a city dog, so she knows all about the city and how to help them navigate the city like through rush hour and stuff.
Nice.
And then of course probably the focal character is Chase the police dog. And by the end, they all get like new vehicles, and he pretty much drives the Batmobile to the point where it even has like even going to like an armor mode, where it looks like the Christopher Nolan era Batmobile.
Oh, sweet.
And then it even shoots out to be a little motorcycle too. It's like it really is the Batmobile.
And Paw Patrol has the tumbler.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean overall it was fine. If your kids like Paw Patrol, this is fine. I've briefly seen bits and pieces of Paw Patrol, and there are a couple jokes for adults. Like one moment was like, "Wow, this new bass looks expensive. How do we pay for it all?" And then the human kid Ryder just like holds a Paw Patrol T-shirt. And is like, "Man, merchandise. These things sell like hotcakes."
Paw Patrol, the flamethrower.
That's where the real money is made.
Paw Patrol, the tumbler.
Yes, Paw Patrol the cat, and another random celebrity voice. It's got Tyler Perry, in a small role at the beginning.
Is this is this a Madea movie?
It's not a Madea movie. It's not Madea Goes to Adventure City. It should be though. He's in it briefly, and then Kim Kardashian is in it briefly. They've got some celebrity voices because I don't know because their kids like it.
Because kids should really know who Kim Kardashian is.
I think she did it for her own kids.
Oh, okay.
She has like 5 lines, so whatever. Good for you, Kim. Yeah, and some other ones. So just I like Mayor Humdinger because he's definitely he's got a big mustache and he's got a big top hat. Of course, he's bald. He loses his top hat all the time. He's got these 2 henchmen. It's like, okay, yeah, boss. Yeah, we'll do what you say, boss. Yeah, it's for young kids. Overall, it's fine. I watched it just so I could say I saw it.
Nice.
And I did. It's like 80 minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. Next, I watched Annette. And have you heard of this film?
I keep seeing it advertised on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime so it was movie. I know a while back I talked about the documentary The Sparks Brothers about these 2 musicians, 2 guys, part of this band Sparks. Well, they did the music and came up with the story for this. So this is a rock opera and directed by a French director. Takes place it's in English with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard, and then Simon Helberg. Howard is there too.
Oh, nice. Does he do a lot of imitations?
No, but he does play the piano because he is actually a gifted pianist.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, Adam Driver is a comedian. Marion Cotillard is an opera singer. And the celebrity couple that goes together, they have a baby. And then the baby instead is played by a puppet. And not like...
Oh, like what was that Clint Eastwood movie?
Nah, yeah, except they did acknowledge it. Except they you can see the puppetiness and they don't hide it. And that kind of sort of interestingly, like she's a puppet for almost the entire movie except for a scene at the end where she becomes a real girl.
She becomes a real boy.
Exactly.
I'm a real boy.
And this is a rock opera in the style of like Tommy or in the style of like The Wall. It is weird. It doesn't necessarily have to make a lot of sense. And
was the music good?
Yeah, music was pretty interesting. A lot of definitely very sort of weird, goofy technical stuff. And yeah, it's bizarre. Involves a puppet singing. I just kind of wish, what if it was like one of the Muppets? It'd be so great if it was just like Miss Piggy the whole time.
Muppet Babies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you like this?
I don't know if I liked it, but this is definitely the kind of film you'll either like it or you'll hate it.
Okay, because all I've seen is just that it's at the front of every every time you go on Amazon Prime, the banner is there, and I haven't seen trailers. I had no idea what this movie was, and it sounds really interesting and kind of like I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's just, it is a little longer. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes, so it does feel like it does get a little long in the tooth a couple times, but I'd watch it for the music and just it is different. I haven't seen something like this before. And I think one of the reasons that they chose a puppet thematically is because that's how Henry the father kind of sees her, as just like something he can control versus a real human being.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yep. Next, I watched Africa Screams, another Abbott and Costello movie, because recently, during the Turner Classic Movies Summer Under the Stars, they had an Abbott and Costello day, so I made sure to record a few of those I hadn't seen.
Cool.
And this one, they go to Africa to help look for this giant ape.
Screams.
Yep. It's hard to do that when they say that, Costello is, of course, like this best big game hunter in the world, when in reality he's like scared of all animals. And shenanigans ensue. So lastly, I watched Madea Goes to Jail.
Oh, did she meet Ernest there?
She did not meet Ernest because he went to women's prison. Ernest was in men's prison, so.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, but she was only in jail in like the last probably like 30 minutes of the movie. It's an hour and 40-some minute movie, so didn't spend that much time in jail. But her cellmate was played by Sofia Vergara, who's just like chewing up all the scenery. So Medea's almost there's always like the Madea plot, then the other plot, then they tend to come together. So this plot was about a like district attorney assistant who like is about to prosecute a case, and he realizes like it's like a friend of his who's been caught for prostitution, really having a bad time on her luck. And then his fiance doesn't like her. Well, he tries to help this woman out, and then surprise, few twists here and there, and of course plenty of scenes with Tyler Perry as Brian talking to Tyler Perry as Madea, talking to Tyler Perry as Joe. And at one point, they made Madea go to like an anger management counseling session, and then her therapist is Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
So they had a fun scene together. And all the judges in the courtroom scenes are like TV judges. So there was like Justice with Judge Maybelline was one, and then another one was Judge Mathis. Like the second judge was Judge Mathis.
Nice.
So that was pretty funny. And then, of all people, Viola Davis was in this movie because, hey, she needs a paycheck, and she does a great job.
Why not?
Exactly. You're in town, you got some time, and that's all of them.
I was joking earlier, but do we need to go through the entire Ernest library?
You might have to.
Ernest goes to camp, Ernest goes to jail, Ernest scared stupid, Ernest saves Christmas.
Or like from that one Simpsons episode, Ernest goes somewhere cheap.
All of them are bad movies, except I watched Ernest Goes to Camp so much when I was a kid. I love that one. My kids like that one. That's a good
one. We had a bunch of the Ernest DVDs, and I always really liked Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah, that one was kind of a silly one.
Because he gets like electric powers by the end. And it's kind of like the evil Ernest. Also played by Jim Varney.
Yeah. Then they get really, really bad. They go from fun bad to just bad.
I also really like Ernest Scared Stupid.
I don't know if I really remember that one.
That one was like he accidentally like creates a troll and has to work with a bunch of kids to stop the trolls from like stealing their souls or whatever.
Oh yeah, nice.
And he also dresses up as an old woman in these movies. So.
Oh, see, it's all connected. Full circle.
It's all connected. They should have worked together. Ernest meets Madea.
We can't have that crossover.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Jim Varney.
Rest in peace, buddy. All right, so that's what we've been watching. What do you think you're going to watch next?
Well, at some point before our next episode, I've got to watch Psycho 4, the beginning.
That's true. Oh, that's a prequel. Okay,
It is a prequel. I wonder if they flash back, because I've never seen this one before. Kind of like I had never seen the other sequels, because Anthony Perkins is in this one again. So I wonder if it's like a flashback movie or something like that.
Yeah, but also, how does this continuity match up with the Bates Motel continuity from the TV show?
I don't think it probably does.
Or maybe it syncs perfectly. Who knows?
Wow. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. Although I might not find out because I've never seen the Bates Motel TV show. Right. I heard it was good though.
I did hear good things about that too.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to at least watch Psycho 4. So that is one of the next movies on my watch list for next time.
Nice. For me, I'll hopefully go through the neo noir series, and also Criterion just put up recently a John Huston series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I mean John Huston's probably one of the best directors because he had such a great variety of films. The guy could do anything.
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of Criterion, did you see that they're going to start doing 4K? I think I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
I
with
don't have a 4K player, but I mean, I'll probably, as long as it still works on my regular Blu-rays, it's fine.
you do have to have a 4K player. It'll work
Ah,
on a
son of
regular
a.
TV, but you do have to have the player,
Okay, and then okay,
and
kind of
and
like
then it
how
down converts it to the TV.
yeah, kind of like how like DVDs work on Blu-ray players. Blu-rays
Uh,
would still work on 4K players.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So because
man,
I
I don't
I
know if
have
I
a
want
4K, I have a 4K player, but only a 1080p projector. But I bought the 4K player because they usually have better sound on there,
to
and
nerd.
but it just down converts the video onto my projector. So,
Okay,
but I figure by the time I need to replace this projector, the 4K ones will be cheap enough that I'll just replace it with a 4K
I
projector.
have 4.5K.
For I mean, they'll start having 8K stuff, so then the 4K projectors will be kind of like buying a 1080p TV now.
It gets to a point where I can barely tell the difference, but that's just
Oh,
me.
I can't either. For me, it's all about the audio now.
Hey, I mean that's fair.
So, and the Dolby Atmos and the DTS-X are all on. They're most of them are on 4K discs rather than the Blu-rays. So, but
So I guess
anyway,
until then, keep watching movies. You can find us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Noah_Saturn. That is spelled Satern.
and I'm at AwesomeKM, and we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. And you can email us, we don't know what to watch at gmail.com. Comment below, let us know what you've been watching, or if you have any suggestions for us, what we should watch. Um, like our crap, and then come back for more. And keep watching.
Spider-Man is Peter Parker.